Welcome to the Liberty UA channel. Joining us is Denis Yeliseevich, a businessman, opposition figure, and refugee. Welcome, Mr. Denis. Hello. I urge our viewers to subscribe to the Liberty UA channel. And also, dear friends, I ask you today to subscribe to the Liberty TV channel. We have launched another channel where we will be posting the best clips from long interviews.
So if you don't have time to watch our interviews in full, please subscribe to this channel and watch the clips of these recordings. You will find it interesting and useful.
Please subscribe to Denis Yeliseevich's channel. Also, Denis, could you please comment on the call between Trump and Putin that took place yesterday?
Everyone is actively discussing this today. What about Putin?
Putin says that he really wants to be helpful to Trump and wants to help him resolve the crisis in the Middle East. He asked Trump how he could help.
Trump said that he would be very helpful if he ended the war in Ukraine. Do you think this war in Ukraine is being put on hold, since we know that the negotiations have been postponed indefinitely? And can this freeze turn into a long-term freeze where Ukraine will be left face-to-face with the aggressor while Washington deals with its own problems?
Yes, anything is possible, especially in a country like Ukraine, unfortunately, and with a president like Zelensky. For us, the most important thing is that Ukraine was discussed in this phone conversation. Many people were worried that Ukraine was forgotten, but I can tell you there was a lot about Ukraine in this conversation. I just want to once again ask people not to react to every statement made by Trump. From good job, you're one of us, to everything is lost, that's how they are, you know, always up and down. Now, the latest thing is Trump is helping Putin not to go bankrupt. From the start of the war and earlier, they raised oil prices, giving Putin money for the Ukraine war. So let people like that ask themselves, do you really believe that Trump and the Americans are so stupid that they didn't read it? That the price of oil will temporarily go up? Or if oil costs more for 1 month, does that really make Putin rich? And is that within Putin's power? Right now, everything comes down to money. So yes, the war in Iran is something new. Before, everyone was talking about Ukraine. Now it's the war in Iran. And we're talking about it now because it still affects the war in Ukraine. But the process doesn't stop. The peace talks have been postponed and will most likely take place next week, even though they were planned for tomorrow. They'll all be in Istanbul, but it will happen in a week or two, and let's see what happens after that. Because look at the situation. They meet there and discuss technical issues, not politics, but once again, they'll meet about technical matters, troop withdrawal, disengagement, and so on. 23. And then anyway, someone there will say, all right, we've discussed everything. Now it's time for politics. And now it's March. There's still some time left, a month or two, but let's see. So to imagine that negotiations will continue in this format next September in 6 months, well, I don't believe in that.
Today, Peskov made a statement. Peace in Ukraine won't come soon because he says there are still many issues left and it's not just about territories.
Regarding money, you said that for Russia, maybe it's not just about money.
Today, Ukrainian media reported that the real budget deficit in Russia is being hidden from the Russian people, and it actually exists. Now Trump has a need to lift sanctions from Russia. Tankers with oil are at sea for a month, meaning they are just sitting there. But that doesn't give us anything. There's no reason to think that they won't keep delivering this oil on shadow tankers, and where it will go to India, to Europe, nobody really knows.
And if someone finds out, they won't tell us. Putin will just keep getting richer, and now it's all legalized for him.
Well, all this fuss about it started pretty late yesterday, according to Ukrainian time. Denis Trump lifted... Well, people are writing to me, Denis, Trump lifted sanctions from Putin. What do you say to that now? Well, first of all, Trump didn't lift sanctions from Putin or from Russia, not from Putin, from Russia. He lifted the sanctions temporarily from Russian oil. He temporarily and partially lifted sanctions from Russia. These are not lifted sanctions. Russia still has a whole bunch of sanctions. But people, you see, now have such a thirst to blame someone. Yesterday it was Trump, today it's Yeliseevich. But the one to blame is Putin, Zelensky. For us, citizens of Ukraine, Zelensky is to blame. He did nothing then and does nothing now. He doesn't want peace, you understand. He doesn't want peace with sanctions on Russian oil or without sanctions. Zelensky doesn't want peace, that's it. And we can, you see, Putin will keep shelling people. People will keep living in Ukraine, and we will keep discussing it like this. But Zelensky doesn't want peace. so he needs to be pressured to want peace. This shouldn't be done primarily by Trump, but by the people of Ukraine. And by going out into the streets, there are many different ways to really express your opinion for yourself. You need to decide whether you want peace or not. Did they ever discuss this with you? The people of Ukraine, first and foremost, need to decide for themselves what is most important right now. Peace. Number one is peace. And if peace is the goal, then whether you need to pressure Putin, bankrupt someone, or if someone wanted too much, these are the things to consider. We have trouble in our country, we need peace and to focus on our own success. Yesterday I posted a photo, an infographic from 1990. Ukraine's GDP was 86 billion, I think, more than 60 billion. So we were 30% richer, like you were a poor country, 30% richer than Poland. It was just crazy. And last year, Poland had $1.1 trillion, and Ukraine, along with all the Baltic countries, Macedonia, Bulgaria, Romania, and Hungary, in short, a bunch of countries, probably more than 10 countries combined. The entire Eastern Europe, except for Poland, has a GDP equal to that of just Poland alone. They did it in 36 years, but we can do it much faster, but someone needs to set such a goal. Everyone wants Russia to fall apart. For Putin to end the war in the world, to become successful, there's no need to discuss anything else. Nothing else will lead to anything. The heroes have already started to fall, including on your channel. Guilt was coming, guilt. Another 10 years. Don't talk about peace. What peace? They're all traitors there. Everything else here just barely touched. Just a little bit was done for them. Show the reports, millions of dollars, a whole chain of legal entities, funds, all sorts of organizations. They take the money to their crypto wallets, a scandal starts, and they immediately delete the crypto wallets. Then the next ones got caught doing the same thing. Of course, they need the war. Do you think they want peace? Of course, they need the war.
I'll play you the one that a person posted on the channel when they came to us. And this man says that I say we should let people aged 18 to 22 leave. And these people got the opportunity to build their own lives. And he asks me, I ask you, who will fight?
He says, and who do you think should go to the front with weapons? Who do you think should defend the country? Who will protect the territories?
Why don't people fulfill their civic duty?
This is not any kind of civic duty. No one has to. We don't have a feudal system. No one has to sacrifice their life for anyone or anything. He should decide for himself. These are the kind of people who say things like that a person's life belongs to the state. So we need to ask, what should Ukraine be like then? And what is the war being fought for? So it turns out we also have a totalitarian system, just like in Russia, just like in Iran. There too, the Ayatollahs say, your life, you will be heroes if you die fighting the infidels, meaning Western civilization. So it turns out we have the same thing. Whoever says things like that, let them go to the front, that's all. But look, this point of view is considered okay, but the second option to end the war is not even considered. This point of view, the war didn't start yesterday.
And the question was, what is the war being fought for? For national values. But we haven't actually named these national values. Can you name what national values are now? Which ones are we fighting for?
Let the one who pushes these ideas answer. See, their answers are always something you can't really grasp. I was just discussing Poland with you, GDP, specific numbers, $1 trillion. People's values, national values. Here people report on each other right to the security service. Just now I got a message. A lady is posting about me in a chat. At a bus stop in Denmark, a lightboard ad showed Zelensky on a magazine cover. She hugged it saying, "This is my president. She lives in Denmark." You see, these are the kinds of values we have, or how our own people shove their own into a van and send them to the front. You talk to the military and the commanders do things that are just unbelievable. So what values are we even talking about, really? People like that need war. They go on air, cover themselves in medals, put on uniforms, collections, come on, money, collections. The war never ends. That's why I have to talk about it now. I think even someone with a low IQ already understands everything. So look, like Tatiana said, the incident in Hungary with the gold bars, with the dollars, shut up. That's an FSB operation. Orban is an FSB agent. The president didn't know. The president didn't know. And it's not all that straightforward there either. Maybe they're not to blame there. Here these hospitals, the scandal, and this is an FSB operation against Poroshenko. Everyone was bought, the speakers were bought, everything works out. Here we're always wrong, people, always wrong. Those who are in power and hold positions in one way or another, they're always right. Here's your answer to all the questions. This is not democracy.
Yeliseevich is going to talk about the hospitals. She was also our guest, and she specifically talked about the need to mobilize women. But how exactly?
If a man from the family doesn't go to the front, then a woman should go. Someone from the family must defend the country.
Now we see that at least $200,000 have been withdrawn from the hospitals' crypto wallets without any reports about it, says the journalist.
But Yeliseevich says that information about this will be provided. Petro Poroshenko says that Ms. Yana is an incredible person because she takes action.
The battalion has saved over 42,000 people who were wounded, and no budget funds were allocated for this.
What do you think in the case of the hospitals specifically? Is this real corruption or a political attack on European solidarity?
No, corruption doesn't apply here because corruption is when you are in a government position and demand bribes, steal from the state. That's what corruption is. And with these hospitals, you could say it's a private organization. No, you can definitely say it's a private organization. People identified themselves that way. Well, look, this scandal happened and there was no clear response. But everyone, Irina Herashchenko, Petro Poroshenko himself, Channel 5, Kniazhitsky, basically this whole Poroshenko bot gang, they've been posting things like this all day for 3 days straight. What a wonderful person Yeliseevich is, and there they published the opinions of a soldier, a well-known sniper. He said that when he met Yana, what a wonderful person she was. Wait, did anyone come out and say that Yeliseevich is a bad person or that she's bad? That's what it's about in your case. You raised millions of dollars. Me, you see, I didn't donate there. I would never donate in my life. I always helped and still help directly, but someone did help, both businesses and people. And you see, here's the situation. When there's a fundraiser, friends, every Hrivnia matters, then people donate and they ask for a report, like you donated 1,000 Hrivnias, now you're demanding a report. Who do you think you are? A patriot, went to the front. You see, that's the attitude. They say, we have a big organization, where are the reports, where is everything? So we hold a press conference. You saw how everyone got really involved, people got involved, so they organized a press conference, and at the press conference, we saved 42,000 soldiers, military personnel. First of all, how did you count them? How can you calculate that? Tell us you said 42, but maybe it's 21. Nobody sees it as bad. Sure, we saved one life, and that's great.
One of Poroshenko's soldiers,
but without any evidence. And again, everything except the report. That's called talking the problem to death because they got into a crisis situation with no way out. Naturally, there is no report. If they publish some nonsense now, people will get on it. Now there's artificial intelligence, they'll tear it apart. And that's why Poroshenko, as someone who got used to acting in the politics of the 90s, is now like, let's just talk the problem to death. And they sent out instructions to everyone every morning. Yakovlevich is a superhuman. He saved a lot of soldiers. He's a man of integrity. Basically, they're focusing on anything and everything except the reports. You see, I honestly don't care at all. There was a chaplain who got caught, and tomorrow it'll be someone else. I discussed Alina Mercedes and even made a video about her and similar people. I don't care which side they're on. But when people come out and say women should be sent to the front, I just have to ask, are you out of your mind? Because even in Iran, they don't send women to the front lines. You really need to have a head on your shoulders. Even Putin hasn't considered it. And why? Well, the conclusion I draw for myself is that it's so the money flows into accounts, into crypto wallets without any reports, that's all. I don't accept barbarism. There's no national idea behind it. There's no desire to make this great. That's it. A person just came out and locked himself inside. And donate, the war is eternal. That's how I still somehow feel part of this scheme. And Ukraine. They don't care about tens of millions of lives, don't want to know, and understand nothing. Poroshenko will survive no matter what.
Men congratulated women on March 8th and said, "Thank you for saving us from the military enlistment office. Take care of yourselves and your men." That's why women have already taken on this role. Because it's impossible to cope with this situation in any way, and the offensives at the front keep going, we can see it. Today, information appeared that the Russian Federation wants to create a 20-kilometer buffer zone. What this means is that they want to extend the length of the offensive line, stretch out this zone, and concentrate, or rather, stretch the Ukrainian troops across this entire area. And the question is, if we see that Zelensky is also talking about an offensive, that there will be advances in Donetsk and Dnipropetrovsk regions, and attacks are expected. Why is the decision being made not to sit down at the negotiating table yet? Is there a military need here to launch a counteroffensive, or is it a political one?
Well, this is pure politics. But it's not that they aren't sitting at the negotiating table. We haven't left the negotiating table. We're formally still present at it. Another issue is that Zelensky personally is not going to make any compromises. That's a fact. It's not even just politics, what you said. That's pure Zelensky style. I remind you, when Joe Biden was still president, there was, I think, a General Assembly. Not sure if it was the UN or a NATO summit in New York. Something happened in the summer of 2023. And Zelensky was going around promising American officials that they would take back Bakhmut and 2 more administrative centers. Ultimately, it led to tens of thousands of casualties and more. People, you see, everyone forgot about Kursk, about the Kursk region, but there's also a cemetery full of our guys and a lot of wounded there. And this is a completely failed operation that ended with only one thing: casualties on our side. And nothing else, and we don't get any benefit from it anymore. And now they need to somehow pump people up for another year of war. Here's the counteroffensive. There it is. We've already been through this more than once. What counteroffensive are we talking about? What counteroffensive are we talking about? Look, I talked there with Artie Green. He believes, for example, that the front will stand heroically under any circumstances. I'm not disputing that. People will stand to the death. That's probably how it'll go, but what happens next? So tell me, please, Putin, they'll say. Putin will be there. Putin will keep advancing anyway, quickly or slowly. Let's imagine the slowest scenario. Putin advances slowly. We can't assume we'll break the front line. How would we even do that? I don't see any argument. We only have problems and we're a bankrupt country. Okay, so what next? Only deaths, only statistics, only scandals with volunteers. But you see, Tatiana, sooner or later there will come a point when we need to raise our heads and say, look, Ukraine still exists on the political map of the world. There are still tens of millions of people living there, and maybe some want to come back, like I do. So tell me, what should we do next? First, to prevent war, and second, to develop and become successful. And the sooner we say this, the more chances we have to make it happen. But in a year or two, I doubt there will be any chances left.
People, please subscribe to our channel, to the Liberty UA channel, and subscribe to Liberty TV.
You will be able to see information from people you probably won't see on the telethon because they are not present there. And you will be able to see a different perspective on the situation. Maybe something will resonate with you.
This video will also be on my channel. I will pin a link to Liberty TV in the pinned comment. Please subscribe, my viewers.
So you spoke with Artie Green, and I want to clarify with you, what conclusion did you come to? When Yermak was in the president's office and now he's not there, now Budanov is there. What has changed?
Well, look, what Artie Green said on my channel is his personal opinion, and I don't agree with him on many issues, especially regarding his assessment of the person. I have different information, but my goal wasn't to convince him. He expressed his opinion, I shared mine with the people, and life will show who's right. Budanov is practically not involved in Ukraine's internal affairs. Budanov is only engaged in the negotiation process, that's all. I am not going to attack Budanov in any way right now, and not against any person who is genuinely interested in peace. I haven't decided yet whether I will support someone or support someone else. I'm saying I'm not touching this because I clearly understand that only peace can save Ukraine and its future. Only peace. There is absolutely no future in war, 100%. In war, there are only losses, victims, cemeteries, tears, blood, and everything else.
Currently, negotiations are postponed and may be happening behind the scenes. The delegation's meeting has been cancelled.
We understand that this situation is somehow being linked to the war between Iran and America.
Donald Trump expressed confidence that the war with Iran is very close to ending.
Trump says that Iran has no fleet left, their communications are disrupted, and their air force is destroyed. Militarily, they have nothing left.
But the new leader of Iran says that we will not surrender. We will fight until the last drop of our blood.
So, what can you say? Is this war coming to an end, or is it just the beginning?
No, it's not coming to an end. I just want to emphasize once again, this is Trump's style. He came out and said that the war is nearing its end. And 5 minutes later, Hegseth, the Minister of Defense, came out and said that the war is just beginning. Look, if Trump had waged war the way Putin does, bombing everyone and everything in his path, there would already be a military victory with a lot of civilian casualties. But Trump doesn't wage war like that. Their goal is to take control of the resources and restore democracy. To eliminate, that is, to bring back the country as it was before the Islamic Revolution, and to have full control in the sky. Iran is suffering huge losses and has no chances, but you understand the situation. These are such scoundrels who will keep getting on everyone's nerves and making life miserable for everyone until the end. That is, they understand that America will not fight the way they fight, the way Russia fights. There is a certain rule, you see, you understand, in America. If America starts acting lawlessly on the front lines, people themselves will come out to protest, and this will have a big impact on all politics. That's the only reason. If someone there lost control, they wouldn't be allowed to act on it even if they wanted to. But no one there wants to. Trust me, they have clear goals. China is a different matter. It's a long story. But all this aims to push Iran out of China's network, just like they did with Venezuela. Russia, aware of this, is already backing down. Trump is again showing willingness to work together, as it is also Russia's partner. We can't compare the Russian and Chinese economies, so let's wait and see. I'm certain, at least until the end of March, regarding the timeline you asked about. There will be fighting there. At the very least, there will be an escalation.
Regarding Trump wanting to take control over energy resources, he's talking about the Hormuz Strait, about how from then on America will be the one to decide. Well, he doesn't say that they will decide, but in the sense that they will be able to.
He wants to take control over energy resources and extract Iran's oil, and they already have Venezuela's oil.
So what is the reason in this situation to allow Putin to have these specific sanctions lifted, which let him sell oil to India and possibly to the European Union? Why do this?
Well, in such cases, it's usually like shuttle diplomacy. That is, such a decision is just one link in a huge chain of other decisions, deals, and so on. You give me this, I give you that, then we keep exchanging more things. That's why, without being at the negotiating table, there's no point in guessing. I'm sure it's simply related to some other agreements. Basically, that's it. I also want to say that a lot of people keep complaining, saying America is allowed, Israel is allowed, but others aren't and others aren't. It's actually very simple. If they keep building up their power and using such cheap resources, sooner or later they'll come after us. And everyone should know and understand this. America won't come after anyone. America won't invade Europe with war or invade Ukraine with war. You just need to understand this in your head. You choose whether you're on the side of the good guys or on the side of the bad guys. If you want a world like in China and Iran, support Iran. If you consider yourself part of Western civilization, part of a democratic society, support the United States.
How will Iranians come to us? What do you mean? How will they get to Ukraine, do you mean, or to Russia, or to Europe?
I'm speaking figuratively. It's an alliance after all. Iranian drones are flying over our cities in Ukraine. They're flying, killing our people, killing. They sold the Garan technology, and now there's a new Garan model that flies at 600 kilometers per hour with additional features. You can attach 90 kilograms of explosives. It can carry that much. So where did this come from? From Iran, you see. Iran didn't invent medicine, computers, artificial intelligence, the things that we will use when we end this broadcast. But they invented the Shahed to kill someone. They understand all this very well. Iran might strike Europe, try to do something. Of course they might when they have nothing left to lose. These are reckless people who might try. They have long-range missiles.
Yesterday there was information from China that they conducted secret nuclear tests. What do you think the purpose was?
Well, you know, it's all like that, whether to believe it or not. If it really happened, then they're just rattling their weapons to intimidate. But you see, there's so much information now. They publish all sorts of things, so much fake news. They make up such fakes, you know. Against Trump, for example, one person comes out spreading fakes, says there's a video where Trump is with children. Then there's supposedly a second video. Here, Trump's younger son supposedly bought $50 million worth of oil, knew when to sell it. Insider information, you check it, fake, 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 fake. Honestly, I don't even know how to explain it to people anymore. So after all, how much money does Putin and of course Zelensky invest in the media? I watch English-speaking influencers, my God, what they're spreading, the kind of money being invested in this, it's unreal. They help each other out. This chain racks up views. There are some real scoundrels out there. He hires an American blogger, a young guy about 20 or 22 years old, who comes over, takes pictures with him, and then this guy writes about how Zelensky is a great president, the leader of the free world. If you had a Ukrainian passport, you'd be at the front by now, but he just takes the money, sits, smiles, and makes Zelensky look good. Some people still believe it. And that's why you see, when I do the same kind of work, but of course with independence and unlimited resources, and you ask people to help somehow with a subscription or a repost and people just ignore it, well, then you shouldn't be surprised when things get even worse tomorrow.
People, please subscribe to our channel, to Liberty UA, to Liberty TV, to Liberty TV. You will see the link in the description of this video.
Let's talk about money. They calculated and said that at this point Americans have invested $6 billion in the war, which is a large amount.
To this day, we don't know how much money, not our own, we have spent on the war in Ukraine.
What do you think? How much have we spent if Orban continues to block the flow of money from Europe?
So if this war goes on even a little longer, what will we use to fight? As Zelensky said, how will we pay the military salaries?
Ursula has said she'll find a way to give 90 billion to Ukraine, and I think that's what will happen. Maybe not in a month, maybe in the summer, but they will somehow reach this agreement. I think about $300 billion have been spent in total, maybe 300 to 350. That's astronomical money, astronomical figures. We have no money, but they'll give us 90 billion, I'm repeating. The war will continue. The question is what happens next. It will end better than if it ended now, but it will still end badly with losses. Well, it's one thing to sit and think that we'll break through the front and push Russia back that way. Well, everyone would be happy, but clearly that's not going to happen. But I'm saying another year, maybe a year and a half, but Zelensky's government will definitely last another year or year and a half. That's what all this is happening for.
A new bill was passed in Ukraine, according to which a new political elite was defined, the official founders of the modern state.
The president signed a law that gives the deputies of the early 90s not only honorary badges, but also lifelong support equal to 80% of the current MP's salary and diplomatic passports.
These are the people whom we honor for having fought for independence.
We will support them accordingly at the same level as our current deputies, 80% of the salary on top of that. What do you think? Is this appropriate right now?
Why are we bringing up these people right now and decided to reward them like this? And really, who deserves awards more? The soldiers on the front lines or these parliament members?
Look, the soldiers deserve it, but I'll explain why this is being done. First of all, these people will also become former members someday, and they automatically get the titles and benefits you mentioned. They've secured those bonuses for themselves. Half the hall is like that. Well, sorry, they recruited poor servants of the people by advertisement. Now they will be guaranteed to feel comfortable for the rest of their lives. Just think about this second point. A lot of people's deputies from previous convocations are connected to business structures, to media structures, a lot of them, and many of them appear in the media themselves. And when you do something like that, it becomes easier for you to negotiate support. So it's a kind of bribery and a guarantee for yourself, for your future. Well, this isn't the right time for that. We're bankrupt, Tatiana, we're bankrupt, and we're giving who to the people's deputies? The best people have gathered. I know the best people have gathered. Who? I don't know. There. Rewind again to the beginning where I was talking about Poland in the 90s and Ukraine. This is what these people's deputies have led to first and foremost, and the presidents whom they are now encouraging. Well, you know, a healthy person just can't wrap their head around this at all.
This law says that the status won't be given to the enemies of independence. That is, to those people who have shown that they stand for some other values.
Ukraine's independence isn't their priority, so they won't get such awards.
Who will decide that?
I wanted to ask you exactly that. Who will conduct the review that determines who is for betrayal, who is for independence? How should that be determined?
Just like they are determining now. If you are with us, then you are a hero and a patriot. If you are not with us, no matter what you support or say, if you're not with us, you're an enemy, a Kremlin agent, or against Ukraine. That's how they'll act. This once again confirms that this is purely manipulative, done in manual mode for their own benefit.
It has to be financed at the expense of Ukrainians, because if we are given this money, it will be loans that will have to be repaid, and they are needed just to finance the deputies now. That's the decision.
Ukraine will protect the Emirates, Qatar, and Saudi Arabia. 3 of our professional teams have gone there. Zelensky says this.
How do you evaluate this initiative?
Well, look, they did go, but have you heard from any political figure from the Middle East, from America, that we reached out to Zelensky and asked him for something? No, there was nothing like that, right? You know, when some kind of disaster happens somewhere, a flood, an earthquake, rescuers from all over the world, from decent countries, go to help that country. You understand, right, what happened? After that, they deal with the consequences. Here, only Zelensky is talking, and these influencers he bought are saying that Trump practically called, like, Volodya, save us, Iran is about to crush us if not for you. And he heroically sends our specialists there. Look, I respect the specialists, I really do. But there are statistics, and if you look at all the statistics, it turns out that the interception rate isn't that high. So all of this has its place. I'm not belittling anyone, I'm not saying anything, but it's not the way he wants to show it. And that's typical Zelensky. Making a mountain out of a molehill, in the sense that there's a small incident, he grabs onto it and they try to show their power to the whole world. What kind of great leader is Zelensky? Oh, they came running to me like, what did you say about me? Well, to understand that, you need to be aware of internal affairs. You need to understand and know the situation. But it's enough to fool people.
Can we expect this? And should we expect terrorist attacks from the Iranians?
Because if we help America, Iran, you see, they'll arrange it.
Terrorist attacks on our land and the European Union are a possible threat. Can we still avoid them?
God forbid, if we discuss this, then probably the European Union is more at risk, since they let a lot of those guys in. And it has already happened. A bomb exploded at the entrance of the US Embassy, and yesterday I read there was a warning that they are activating their cells all over the world, the Revolutionary Guards. And of course, it's all just terrible, but again, this is a question for those who support Iran. Guys, they're threatening terrorism all over the world. How can you support people like that? Do you support them? Well, you see, our post-Soviet people, many of them are brainwashed, they deny the facts. I just said, who in their right mind would support Iran? Well, there will be some like that. They'll definitely find a way to explain it to themselves and to everyone else.
Marina Stanichuk was our guest yesterday. She says that peace is a very important issue, an important decision that needs to be made.
But it's not necessary for this decision to be made specifically by the country's commander-in-chief.
The Verkhovna Rada can take this initiative, and it would be a legal way to do it.
She is making various suggestions about what options are possible, what they can do, what is in their hands. What do you think from the Verkhovna Rada? In the situation that Ukraine is in now, something similar can be expected.
Marina Stanichuk said everything correctly, but the thing is, she is reasoning theoretically. That is, theoretically, as she said, it could all happen, but in practice, the Verkhovna Rada would never go for something like that. We've already discussed this with you. They're all compromised, they're all facing criminal charges, they're all getting paid under the table. She's right, but that's only if the country is a democracy, if there's at least some common sense left, some leaders, some understanding. They're all just a gang of thieves who only care about their own lives. So yes, it's possible in theory, but I absolutely don't believe in that scenario, at least for now.
Thank you for the conversation. I encourage people to subscribe to your channel and to Liberty TV. The link is in the description.
Let me stress that there will be short videos featuring the best parts of our programs.
Thank you so much for being with us, for watching us, supporting us, and writing comments to us. Thank you for everything, and see you next time.